What's up, guys? Welcome to today's breakdown with MPS, where we teach you the mental skills used by high performers. Have you ever heard a post-game interview where the reporter asks, "Could you tell us about that last play?" And the player responds, "Absolutely. I really wasn't focused on much outside of nailing that last swing. I was just in the zone." This zone that elite performers reach is an incredible tool for performance enhancement. And with the right practice, you can enable yourself to reach your optimal zone too. I'm Brooks, and in this mental skills breakdown, we'll be covering zone management. In this video, we'll cover the following topics. 1. What is the zone? 2. What does it take to reach this state? 3. How can I tell if I've ever been in the zone? And 4. We'll close out with some tips to help you reach your zone more consistently. So what is the zone? Being in the zone is referred to as a flow state by sports psychologists. When we're in flow, our intentions and our actions meld. That is, they come together and we're able to simultaneously process and physically execute the skills we need to help us reach our goals. When we're in this state, our play feels lights out, unconscious, automatic. We can't miss. We've lost all awareness of anything outside the immediate moment. Professional athletes and elite performers work hard to reach this state, even if it's only for moments at a time. But what does it actually take to reach the zone or a flow state? Flow can be achieved when the following factors are met. 1. You have a clear goal or goals of what you're trying to achieve. These goals should feel challenging, at the edge of your ability. When you're trying to achieve flow, process goals are what you should be focusing on. We can never fully control an outcome, who wins and who loses. However, we can dedicate all of our focus and effort on the behaviors that will maximize the likelihood of our success. The second requirement for flow is total concentration on the task at hand. Task focus means we're only paying attention to the things that will help us achieve our goal. We're ignoring crowd noise, what other players are saying, and we're not focusing on anything outside of the task itself. The third and a crucial factor for achieving flow is that you believe your skills meet the demands of the task. Having the belief that your skills meet the demands of the task lead to a perception of control. This perception of control allows you to feel like you're attacking a challenge instead of dealing with an overwhelming threat. Without this belief, you can still perform at a high level. However, nagging doubt will distract you from the task at hand, impeding your progress into the flow state. The fourth and final factor for entering flow is that we lose all feelings of self-consciousness. Feelings of self-consciousness are competing with our attention to the task at hand. Since you need to be totally immersed in your activity, there's no room for thoughts like, "I wonder if coach is mad at me," or "Did my parents see me turn over the ball from the stands?" All of those little distractors will keep you from achieving flow. So, meeting those four factors, clear goals, attention to the task at hand, belief in your skills, and loss of self-consciousness will enable you to reach flow. Now you've heard what flow is, you've heard what the requirements are, and you may be thinking, have I ever been in flow? Great question. If you were in flow, you were likely performing at a high level. So think back to a time where you were playing really well. You may have been hyper-focused, locked in on your task, and only attending to the appropriate internal and external cues. You may have felt like nothing could distract you. You could have experienced some timelessness, that is, a disruption to the way you normally experience the flow of time. For some, it's a loss of the concept entirely. For others, time seems to slow down and they're able to see more of the game at a higher speed. Everything is happening in slow motion. This time warp occurs because 100% of your focus was on the present moment, which is something that doesn't normally happen in daily situations. Finally, if you were playing and you felt automatic, like you couldn't miss and everything was going your way, you were probably in flow. Your intention equaled your action. What you wanted to happen did. You were executing at your highest level. If you've ever felt any of those things, you've likely experienced flow. Tell us about your flow experience in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. By now, you know what flow or the zone is. Now for the fun part. How do we reach our own zone of optimal functioning? Because flow requires 100% focus on the task at hand, we'll frame our approach as attention management. Our attention is always limited. We can only process so much information at a time. We don't get to add space during competition. However, we can prioritize what we're attending to. Our ability to lock in on certain tasks is largely dependent on the balance between our thoughts and emotions. Our autonomic nervous system is responsible for balancing upregulation, excitement, anxiety, and downregulation, relaxation, rest, recovery. This balance, or your arousal, is usually managed mindlessly or automatically in daily situations. However, you have the power to influence this balance with your conscious mind and certain behaviors, effectively moving yourself towards your optimal zone. If you've ever heard of the mind-body connection, then you know that the mind and body are constantly communicating. When we're overly stressed or anxious, we can have a lot of difficulty focusing. And when we're overly relaxed or calm, it can be difficult to motivate ourselves to care at all. So how do you know where your optimal balance is? You can identify your optimal arousal by reflecting on past peak performances. Start by thinking back to a time where you're performing really well, maybe your best ever. Pause the video if you can't think of a time right off the top of your head. We'll be here. Once you've identified that optimal performance, reflect on the conditions you were performing under. Were you excited, nervous, stressed, or were you relaxed and joking around with teammates and coaches? Was it a big game or a regular season game? What were your teammates and coaches telling you before and during the game? Did you feel like you were bursting with energy, or were you calmer, reflecting on your game plan? All of these cues will point you towards where you perform best. Some of us perform better when we're calm, collected, while others of us thrive in the excitement of rapid action. It's important to remember that your zone may not be in the same place as your teammates. For example, here are two athletes' individual zones of optimal functioning. Athlete A enjoys a calmer, more methodical approach to the game. They're at a lower energy when they perform their best. Athlete B does better when they're at a higher arousal, with a high energy approach to the game. Both are totally valid, but will not translate well to the other. As a Division I and national team athlete, I tended to overshoot my optimal zone. When I started races at too high of an energy level, my attention would drift toward fatigue and sometimes doubt as the race progressed. I would lose track of my process goals. So, I had to develop a lot of down-regulating techniques to make sure I stayed close to my sweet spot for optimal performance. Once you've identified your optimal zone, lower or higher on the arousal curve, you can work to intentionally bring your energy to that level. There are a number of energy regulating techniques out there, but I'll be covering 4 common ones for you. The first is music. Music is great because the mind and body respond to rhythm and tempo at conscious and unconscious levels. We can all identify the songs that get us excited and energized, and we can all identify the songs that bring us to a lower energy level. So, make 2 playlists. One that will get your energy up, and the other that will bring your energy down. Depending on your mood, the level of competition, and your energy that day, you'll know which is more appropriate to listen to before your performance. The second technique is visualization. Visualization works just like music. We all have images or memories that get us excited, and we have images and memories that make us more calm and relaxed. What are the moments that you remember being really excited? Thinking back to those times will get your heart rate up and give you more energy just by thinking about them. You can also think back to times where you were calm and relaxed to bring your energy down. The third energy regulating technique is self-talk. Self-talk can be critical for zone management, especially during your competitions. We can prompt ourselves to refocus on our process goals, attending to the skills that will help us reach our goal. As a rower, using my self-talk to refocus on how I wanted to execute the rowing stroke would bring my attention away from fatigue and doubt and inevitably move the boat faster. The fourth and last technique that I'm going to be covering is breath work. Breath work is valuable for up and down regulation. By attending to our breath, we bring our attention to the present moment, which is a critical factor for achieving flow. Taking deep, controlled breaths tells the autonomic nervous system that we are not in immediate physical danger. This allows our attention to move out of a threat and more into a challenge attacking mindset. If we want to upregulate, we can increase our breath rate to move ourselves to a higher energy level. As you become more sensitive to where your attention goes at different energy levels, you can fine-tune your pre- and in-game routines. Some games may take more upregulation, regular season games where you're playing not so good opponents and you may be overtrained or tired. And some games may take more downregulation, championship games, rivalry games, or any situation where your energy and anxiety is already elevated. Your optimal zone will fluctuate throughout a performance as you get fatigued and experience adversity. But returning your game plan, focusing on your task cues, and using the appropriate energy regulating techniques, you'll be able to regain the balance that you need for peak performance. And that's flow. Hopefully you learned something that you can take to your high performance life. Let us know what other topics you'd like us to cover in the comments below. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our future videos. Thanks for watching this mental skills breakdown with MPS, and we'll see you next time.